Of that, there are only 15 countries that generate in excess of $1 trillion a year in GDP. So I thought, surely that's the biggest thing. That's the countries are generating $1 trillion. But that's not true. The largest asset class on the planet is real estate. Can you advance the next slide? This seems to be working. The largest asset class on the planet is real estate. At 3.5 times the size of the global economy, the global GDP. Should we try and, you guys want to see the slides? Yeah. I think they're cool slides.
Yeah, there we go.
Give it a try. There we go.
Sorry.
We're talking about an asset class is $280 trillion. $280 trillion in the global real estate market. For comparison, the United States of America does about $21 trillion in the GDP. I worked for a period of time in healthcare. My brother, Stephen King, he was really a Stephen King. He really is right there. My brother used to say to me, it's really nice you work in healthcare, this quaint little $4 trillion category. We need to come and join the big boys up in real estate. So that got me thinking, $280 trillion asset class. And I believe something. I believe that the first company to generate $1 trillion in revenue is going to come from blockchain. It's going to be a blockchain-enabled company. And the cool thing about this is you see crypto is actually making the list here. We got crypto at $500 billion. You look back in time, it's not too many years ago, crypto wasn't even on that chart. I think in very good time, crypto is going to be very much up in the real estate sphere. It got me thinking about how will crypto go and attack and solve problems and address some of the issues? And in particular, in this massive asset class called real estate, what can we do to build a really enduring company? Well, in my opinion, what we can do is we can solve real problems. I love blockchain, and I love crypto, and I love tech, and I love the space. And this is my second company. My first company I had a chance to build. It was a great company. It was a technology company backed by Google. And I geeked out about the tech. But what I learned really quickly was that if you're not solving somebody's problem, then there's no point. You can have the coolest tech in the world. So the first thing is understanding what are the problems in global real estate. The problems are right. Really what it comes down to is fragmentation. You know, isn't it kind of weird that I can't look at a house in Zurich or in Shanghai, that if I wanted to rent an office space in Berlin, that I gotta call up a local person, I have to figure out who that is. There's no transparency in the market. And then isn't it interesting that I, as a broker, when I'm gonna list my house, I have to pay to put it in the MLS, and then I have to pay again to put it on Zillow so that my agent, their face shows up as the listing agent on Zillow? That seems pretty weird to me. That seems pretty upside down. So in order for us to address this massive, massive asset class, the first thing we have to do is solve real problems. And the way to do that, frankly, is through enablement. It's by removing the middleman. And so what we've looked at Imbrex is first and foremost the facilitation of the data flow. Today we have single server computing. All of the information in real estate goes to a single server. It goes to the MLS. It goes to Zillow. You know what happens if you change the price of your home? Does it reflect on Zillow? If you're lucky, maybe in like 6 months. The last house I sold, I just sold a home in California, excuse me, and the pictures on Zillow were from 9 years ago. I mean, it was, fortunately we had done some upgrades, fortunately the buyer didn't come from Zillow, but my goodness, talk about misleading information. So the first thing we have to do is we have to cut out these middlemen. We have to be able to get people to exchange directly. And why wouldn't they do that in the past? They didn't do it because they didn't trust. And why didn't they trust? Because real estate, there's two things I've learned about this category. One is people are extraordinarily chatty. They love to talk. And two is they're extraordinarily competitive. I mean, these people love to compete. And so if I'm JLL and you're Cushman, there's no way I'm going to exchange my data. There's no way. I don't trust you. It's like this game. Okay, hey, I'm going to give you your data. You're going to give me mine, right? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, push button. You blinked. I got your data. They wouldn't do it. But now, with the advent of smart contracts, we can do it. we can say, JLL and Cushman, you guys can exchange data directly. And in fact, what we have built is not only the ability for them to exchange the data, to give them economic incentives. So for the first time going in, IBM was just up on stage, a great, perfect example. They've got mainframes all around the world. In every single case, this is a cost center. In every single case, it's viewed as a cost. Now for the first time, what we can do is we can say, hey JLL, that server that you have, we want to pay you as a data processor, and we're going to pay you in crypto, we're going to pay you with smart contracts. So you have an incentive not just to process the data, then to move the data and share the data. And for the first time, we can develop this notion of a truly global real estate exchange, where I can go and I can not only search for residential properties, I can search for commercial properties, I can search for new developments, I can search globally, and I can search locally. And that's the first step. And this is a cool step. And I get really jazzed about this. But we're here at a blockchain conference, so by definition, every single one of us has at least some propensity to get excited about the tech and get excited about what it can do. What we found in the real estate community is that, of course, there are people like us that are very interested in what the tech will do. But the vast majority of people in real estate, they don't consider themselves very techy, and frankly, what they care about is not dissimilar to what I care about at the end of the day, and that's making sure that I have a good day, I'm spending my time well, and I don't have to slave at my desk over tasks that are just a pain in the neck. So, as we enable this real estate flow, what we also have to address is really what is the 800-pound gorilla, or excuse me, the elephant in the room rather, which is the transaction. And so what we have built here at Imbrex is this Tegula system we call it, which is in the middle there. It's the infrastructure, it's the protocol. It allows us to move all the data, to encrypt it, to create keys. What we built on the application tier is a front end you can go to, you can view those listings. So you can actually go and see where the new developments are, where the residential, the commercial. But importantly, what we've also looked at is escrow commons, is the transaction itself. Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, this is in fact the biggest point of friction in the real estate community, the transaction. Transactions, all of us have bought a home, rented a house, apartment, okay? My last company, we raised a fair amount of venture capital. The paperwork for it was about that. I think every $10 million, maybe the paperwork went up about that much. To buy a home, which had nowhere near the value of the money that we raised, was about that much paperwork. It was extraordinarily difficult to know what was going on with the purchase of the home. And we got to thinking about that. And you know what most people, what they think is, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be like Henry Ford. Create a conveyor belt. I'm going to do this, do this, do this. But that's not how life works. And that's definitely not how real estate works. See, real estate is a lot like life. It's a team sport. And it's not just the buyer and the seller. It's the buyer and the seller that have an agent. And then they have an inspector, and then they have an escrow officer, and a title officer, and a loan officer, and they have all of these different constituents. And so what we've done for the first time is allow all of these people to get in a room, a virtual room. And we put the buy side and the sell side and any of the support functions, we put them all in the room, and we tell them, first of all, what they're transacting on, and we give them this string so that that data is now immutable. So anything that entity, any attribute that can be appended to that entity indefinitely. So if I had a bedroom, if it gets a zoning entitlement, if it gets a paint job, I'm not going to have my Zillow 10-year-old photos. I know that this is in fact the single source of the truth for this particular property. I know who is in the deal. And importantly, I know exactly what they have to do. Now the cool thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, is that to use this product, you pretty much have to be able to know how to open your phone. You don't have to know anything about blockchain. When you log in, you can get confronted with a screen like this that shows you, here's what you're transacting on. It shows you, though, specifically the tasks. I'm going to have to point it at that one. So if you can just push to the next one, I just want to show. When you log in, it shows you exactly what you need to do. What are your tasks? What are his tasks? Why aren't you doing your job? I've been waiting on you for like 2 weeks to get this deal done. Why does it take so long to close a real estate transaction? Because there's no transparency. There's no ability to walk in and say, hey, this is what you need to get done. Now here's the cool thing. Not only does it tell me what I need to get done, I now can start to incentivize people. I can gamify. Remember what I said about real estate? They're chatty, people love to talk, and they are competitive. And so now, when I complete a task, I can share that with the community. And I can show how hyper-productive I am. And just like the processing of data that we do from a global listing standpoint, we can start to incentivize people economically. Do your job really well. You're doing your job really well. And you know what? In addition to your commissions, in addition to your payouts, we're going to pay you some money. Because you make my life a lot easier. The other thing is the document management. I don't have to go hunting and searching. I mean, I don't know your experience with real estate, but I will tell you, back on this machine, I pulled it up, I created a folder just for the last sale of this property in California because everything was everywhere on my machine and in my email. It was a nightmare to find. So now, not only do I know my tasks, I know exactly what I have to do, and obviously we're all familiar with this technology with DocuSign and others. I can make it very easy to interact with it. And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I can fund. You know what was really crazy to me? When I first started with my brother, we were talking about the real estate transaction process, and he was like, yeah,